Hello everyone, and welcome to Ashley Coffardy's webinar, Better Holiday Nutrition Simplified, because it's more fun to be happy and healthy, especially during the holidays. We're very lucky to have Tess Masters, aka the Blender Girl, joining us today to share her knowledge and expertise. There'll be a Q&A at the end of this webinar, so please send in any questions via the chat box that might come to mind, and I'll have Ashley and Tess answer. Lastly, this webinar will be up on Ashley's website and YouTube page next week. So if you join late or want to recap, you can find it there. Okay, let's get this started. Over to you, Ashley.
Thank you. I have always wondered, ever since I became a dietitian, I kind of wanted to just exit stage left during the holidays because I felt like no matter what I talked about, I was like the Grinch, whether stealing your Christmas or raining on a Thanksgiving parade or being asked to do something that I don't believe in, which is to ask people to try to be perfect on a certain day or focus on something being good for them, but not necessarily good tasting or good emotionally. Because we all know that during the holidays, we've just got our things. We've got our things that remind us of childhood holidays, or we have our things that help us cope with maybe certain people who arrive during the holidays, but we all got our things. And so for a long time, I just sort of stayed out of the holiday conversation, especially when I got crazy questions, like the question that I got today on the media, from the media, which is, hey, do you think this one tip is a good idea? We're going to tell people to not have their caffeine on Thanksgiving morning because we feel like when you have caffeine, and I didn't even listen to what else they said. So people, please just listen to me here and now. If you normally have caffeine, please have your caffeine on Thanksgiving morning, please, on behalf of all of your family members and your digestive system. And if you decide to give up your caffeine, I'm totally down with that. And if you don't normally have caffeine, you don't have to have caffeine, but one day, one holiday is not what your better nutrition is about. So it's a long introduction to basically say this. I want your holidays to be happy and healthy. And the main thing that I want to have happen is come January 2nd, I don't want you to be sitting there feeling like you have to do some drama diet or detox or give up everything that could make January and February awesome for you in order to get back on track from a health standpoint. And so when I thought about the way the holidays could really be fun, I thought about one of my favorite people who is really fun, happy, and healthy, and who shares a very similar ethos to me on that part. And she is our guest today, Tess Masters, aka the Blender Girl. And if you don't know her, you're going to get to know her and love her as I do. And if you do know her, you're also going to understand why she is the perfect person to help us explain how we can have it all. Yup, we can absolutely have it all during the holidays. So before I get into that, I would have to thank and want to thank my partners who make being able to do all of these webinars for you guys possible and explain that they are part of fun, happy, healthy holidays as well. I would have hemp and do have hemp most days anyway. But when I think about being able to have more plant-based options and also to support my guests who are following a plant-based diet, but really when I think about the nutrients that we want to incorporate in that enable our happy and healthy, things like our essential fatty acids and making sure we get in our essential amino acids and ideally from plant-based sources, as well as in nutrients like iron and magnesium and B vitamins, I think no further than hemp. So Manitoba Harvest, they have a ton of great holiday healthy, happiness enabling, fun recipe ideas and youth eating occasion ideas. And the other thing about them is they are so great to travel with. So if you're traveling during the holidays, definitely think about doing what I do, which is grabbing some packets of hemp seeds. They call them hemp hearts, which just reminds us about being healthy and happy. And you can add them to anything that might otherwise be not so fun, not so happy, not so healthy, in the airport or in your car or on your road trip or train trip. So highly recommend that. I give the gift of calm all holiday long, and the main reason that I do it is it gives back to me. So there is not a person who has met me really that probably has not tried Natural Calm and now is really excited about, in addition to taking it in the beverage form, in the powder that you make into a beverage, now you have the bath and you also have the cream. And the reason that I gift it is because I want to get what it gives other people. When you get magnesium going into your body, which you can do from food, but 70% of us are not getting enough magnesium. We're not meeting our RDA for magnesium, and that's our minimal recommended daily allowance. And so when we get magnesium in, as you guys know, I've explained this on other webinars, and you can also do the magnesium evaluation that's on my website to see if you're getting in enough magnesium. When you get in enough magnesium, the cells, all your cells in your body, have what they need to kick stress to the curb. They literally push the calcium back outside of the cells, because calcium is actually what enters your cells and kicks off that fight or flight response when we're experiencing stress. So just in case you might experience stress on any level, good, bad, any amount of stress during the holidays, I recommend checking out Natural Vitality and their Calm products. Another thing that you will know is on all of my holiday to-do lists is figuring out how I can bring more broccoli into my life, Rerun's life, and pretty much everyone that I interact with. And that is because I just love broccoli. But years ago, I learned that broccoli contains glucoraphanin, and glucoraphanin is so important for helping to support the body's own detoxification system. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to watch my webinar and you have to read the information I have on the site about detox. We actually have our own detoxification systems, and when we don't get the nutrients in to support our own detoxification, then that detoxification doesn't happen as successfully as it needs to. And that means we're left with dirt, i.e. toxins, inside of our body, and they can be harmful or they can just take up space that we don't need for them to take up. So True Broc is an ingredient that you'll see in many different supplements, and now moving also into the food space. You can get brassica tea and coffee that has the True Broc ingredient in it because it's water soluble, so you don't taste broccoli in your coffee or your tea, and it enables better detoxification. And then Nature's Path. Nature's Path has some of my favorite recipes. They span the globe in terms of who they source recipes from, and also all the different cultural influences. So there's something for everyone there. Some of my new favorites are the Superflake cereal, the Kia Superflake cereal, and the Kia cereal, but they also have grab-and-go bars, and then they're part of, along with the packet of hemp hearts that I travel everywhere with, they're part of my travel emergency kit, which is I always travel with a packet of oatmeal and a packet of hemp hearts, and then I make sure that I'm near an espresso or a coffee machine so that I can put the two together with my coffee. I've even done it with tea now, so I've done it with Earl Grey tea, which is delicious. You can do it with decaf if you want decaf, but that's a really fun way to make what I will call a better breakfast, or really just a better pit stop while you're on the go. So definitely check out everything that Nature's Path has to offer. All right, so without further ado, let's do this. Let's get better holiday nutrition simplified now so you can enjoy healthier and happier holidays. Okay. So real quickly, here's what we're going to go through. What do we all want? What do we all need in order to get what we want? And how can we all get it and keep it? And that's where I'm going to be introducing Tess, the blender girl. And then we're going to talk about different things. Like, what can we be doing daily? Notice I say almost daily, because this is about making better, not perfect choices more often, not every single day. And then let's be honest, there are certain things that can make a better party, certain people enable a better party. We're going to give you our secrets there. And then I'm going to ask Tess about some of her favorite quick fixes, as well as leave some time for your questions at the end. So what do we all want? We really do. We want probably more of this more often. We've got the devil on the side, and whether your thing is hot dog, that's not mine, but it's probably I want to be able to have the chocolate, I want to be able to have the booze, I want to not necessarily have to exercise, but I definitely don't want to end the holidays looking the way that the devil looks there. And if I come over here, you know, I know, and I actually really love eating my carrots, and I actually personally love strength training, but we do want it all, right? And that's sometimes what the conflict is for us during the holidays. What do we all really want as well is that we also want the holidays to happen, but then we want them to be a memory. We don't want to be reminded of them come January 2nd when our clothes don't fit, come January 9th, 10th, 11th when our clothes don't fit, January 30th, 31st when we start having our first cold, or we just feel so fatigued, or we don't really want to go anywhere because our skin doesn't look great. We want to have the holidays and enjoy them, and we don't want them to wreak havoc on our January, February, and onwards. So what we actually need is we need better choices more often. They're better, they're not perfect. The perfect choices are perfectly unhealthy because we can't do them all the time. And it's such a silly thing to shoot for when we think about the fact that there's no such thing as perfect health either. You know, our body is always changing. Our body is always responding to what it has and what it needs, and it's also responding to what it's getting externally. So that means that since it's always changing, we just always have to look at better choices. And better choices means learning about better holiday nutrition, which we're about to talk about, which will enable better energy. So that's a win during the holidays. When we have better energy, we're able to do what we want to do. We're able to feel good at the party, but also get up and go to the gym the next morning. Or if we don't go for the gym, we have the energy to get up and do a workout at home or go for a walk with friends. And we also have the energy to be nicer to people, which brings me into the next part, which is your better mood. You know, when we're in a better mood, we make better food choices. So all of this is really a cycle. And all of this won't mean anything if we don't have better health. If you've ever had a cold or been sick during the holidays or been sick and had to travel during the holidays, you know what I'm talking about. And you don't want to be unwell during the holidays. But more importantly, you also don't want to start off the new year not feeling well. We want to enable your better health. We want to help you get it and keep it. And the way we do that is fueling you with better nutrition. Remember, better nutrition all year long is about two things: what goes in and on you most often. And that's either going to enable your better health or deduct from your better health. Better nutrition is just what I'm talking about. It's better. Let me be super clear. Anywhere you are, there is always a better choice. There's not a perfect choice. So what we want to focus on is better, not perfect. And if you need more information, if you're looking for a plan to follow during the holidays, one of the things that I just remind you, I've got this nutrition plan on my site, and it really does help you in a very hopefully simple way understand what you need to look for from your nutrition during the holidays. These four pillars: quantity, quality, balance, and frequency, they are all of equal importance, and they need to be weighted that way as you're going about your eating and your enjoyment over the holidays. But the other thing I want to point out is, after years and years, decades of working with patients, I also know that no one is doing all of these wrong. So one of the things you have to figure out is what is not working for you, or what is going to be, and we can anticipate this, challenging for you during the holidays. And I'll give you an example. For me, normally, quality is not an issue. When I'm home, or most of the places that I'm traveling to, quality is not an issue. However, certain people's homes that I go to and spend some time during the holidays, or I go to for a party, quality may be an issue. So what are my ways that I can anticipate that, and what are some of the things that I can do? And we'll talk a little bit about this as we dive in with Tess Masters. So Tess is now going to help us talk about how we can get and keep better health. And I want to introduce my dear friend and just a total rock star in the kitchen, Tess Masters. And Tess, I wanted to start off with introduction. I would love to just hear, what do the holidays mean for you? You know, when you think about health, happiness, like, talk to me a little bit about the holidays.
Well, for me, the holidays is about celebration. It's about having fun. It's about gratitude, being thankful for what you have. And I think the second part of it is, for me, it's about manifesting. It's about being thankful, coming from a place of gratitude, and then manifesting how I want my life to be in the next year. So I always surround myself with people that I love, people I enjoy being with, and having wonderful conversation and a fabulous time. So I think for me, it's the ultimate manifestation of my overall philosophy of life, which is that things have to be enjoyable and fun, and we have to be working from a place of abundance and celebration rather than depletion, and focusing on what we can't have and what we don't have and all that sort of stuff. So, um, I think that, certainly the way that I live my life and everything that I do is always coming from that same place, which is just a place of positivity.
So I love that. And one of the things, as you were talking about, I was thinking about manifesting. When you talk about manifesting and surrounding yourself with people, and the abundance. So it's like every year that I watch you, more and more, just wonderful things are happening, and you're reaching more people, and that warms my heart. And I'm wondering, how did that? If you can give us a little bit of the story of the Blender Girl. How did that come about, and what are you focused on manifesting at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the huge part of the growth of the Blender Girl brand is about celebrating others. And again, I'm going to keep going back to that place of celebration, celebrating yourself and your achievements and celebrating what you want to achieve, but also celebrating others and connecting with like-minded members of the community and other people. So, for example, the Blender Girl started because I I diagnosed with Epstein-Barr virus when I was a teenager, and I gave up gluten and dairy. I'm not a celiac. I don't have lactose intolerance or anything like that, but I have a mild intolerance to both of those things. And I was suffering from extreme lethargy. So I went to a naturopath, this is 30 years ago, and he suggested I give up gluten and dairy, and I felt better almost overnight. So that was the impetus into a revolution into the way that I ate. So I became very intoxicated with this idea of food as medicine, which is very, very familiar to us now. But back then it was very new to me. So I became very excited about this idea. And because I was starting to feel so good, I really became obsessed. And this story of obsession continued for about 10 years. So I was macrobiotic for 10 years. I did Chinese yin and yang principles. I was grain-free and paleo before it was paleo. I was a raw foodist. I was vegan. I did body ecology principles, alkalinity, Ayurvedic principles. I really was one of those annoying people that found the answer every 6 months and tried to recruit everybody that they know. Until one day my dad sat me down and said, "Are you having any fun?" This was actually at Christmas, so this is timely, this story, because I was not wanting to eat what everybody else in the family was eating, and I felt like that's not healthy and all this sort of stuff. And Dad just said, "You know what? We are over this." And he said, because food should be fun. It's one of the great pleasures of life. So if you're not having fun with your food, we are sad for you right now. And my dad loves everything that I do. So to hear him say something like that to me, it was such a huge wake-up call. And I thank him for that now, because the minute I really allowed myself to be flexible and fluid and open and forgiving and gentle with my approach to food, my entire world opened up. And so I realized that flexibility rather than rigidity were the keys to health and happiness for me. And so instead of trying to dogmatically follow one particular diet or one particular way of moving through the world with food, I embraced the concept of bioindividuality, that one blanket way of moving through the world is not right for everybody. So instead of trying to find the perfect diet or the perfect book that was going to bring me to perfect health, I really realized that I was looking for a great test diet, a diet that could move with the seasons, move as I aged, move with my different activity levels, the seasons, stress levels, my emotions, my physical activity, and so forth. And so once I realized that, things became much more enjoyable and much more exciting to me. And so when I went to start a website to share recipes with family and friends, because I would always get these emails or phone calls or text messages saying, "What was that thing you made? It was so incredibly delicious, and I watched you throw it together in 10 minutes while we were drinking a glass of wine. We really want the recipe." So as I started researching what else was out there, this was back in 2010, there were so many incredible websites out there doing really amazing things, but I wanted to find a point of difference, and I wanted to use my voice to really convey my message in my authentic way. And so as I was sitting there with my green smoothie, looking at my blender and thinking about how much I used it all day, every day, I went, "Ooh, hang on a second. So at the time, nobody was really doing much beyond juices and smoothies. And I thought, wow, okay, there's something in this because, you can use your blender for so much more than that. And so as I started researching blending as a method of food prep, it very quickly became a metaphor for how I live my life and how I believe we all live our lives, which is that we blend different notes and philosophies, cultures, work, loving relationships, hobbies, exercise, friends, family, whatever, to find our perfect blend for health and happiness. So I started to ask people, what's your perfect blend? And one email turned into 2 emails a week, turned into 5, turned into 500, turned into 5,000, and here we are. And so to go back to your initial question of how did this grow, I have this philosophy that I really stick to. And it's that if somebody takes the time to honor my story in any way, which is emailing me, messaging me, coming up to me at an event, tweeting me, Facebooking me, attending, listening to a webinar like this or something, I have an obligation to honor their story. And so I respond to every single social media post, every single email. And so there's a real connectivity that happens when you build a community like that. And I think that therein lies the exponential potential of the brand and why it's grown so much in the last few years in particular. And of course, yes, once I, signed a multi-book deal with Random House, now I have 4 books and an app. Obviously there you can reach even more people. But I think at the end of the day, again, I'll go back to what I said before, which is this celebration of yourself and others, this kind of loose, very gentle approach to healthy living, which is inviting, it's inclusive, it's non-judgmental. So, wherever people are on their wellness journey, I want to support them. And we're all wanting to be better. Every day I'm hoping to strive to be a better person and to learn and to grow and develop. And so for me, my journey with food is simply that I want to feed and nourish myself. I want to show other people how to do it in a very easy and fun way, because healthy food, there's this popular misconception that you're going without if you're being healthy. And so my passion is showing people that no matter what your dietary stripes, whether you're an omnivore, whether you're paleo, whether you're gluten-free, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, whether you eat absolutely everything under the sun and you've been told by your doctor you need to lose weight, or you've got high blood pressure, cholesterol, you're trying, whatever it might be, that there are so many conflicting ideas about health and nutrition out there, but the one thing that everybody agrees on is that plants are a boon to health. Now, for most people, though, nobody's getting excited about vegetables. So I feel like my mission and what really drives me is to show people that vegetables can be sexy and fun and absolutely mind-blowingly delicious. So when I create a recipe, it has to look gorgeous, because we take the first bite with our eyes with anything in life, but particularly with food. It has to be nutrient dense, so it's got to nourish our bodies and really do something. It's got to be functional food. And the third thing, and actually the most important thing if we're really going to stick to making healthy choices on a daily basis, is that it's got to just taste absolutely phenomenal, so that people want to make it regardless of whether it's vegetable based or not. It's just absolutely delicious. And so I think for me, that's what really drives me, is just having people taste the food at my appearances or write to me when they purchase the book or somebody gave it to them for Christmas and go, oh, if I had have known that vegetables could taste that good, I would be eating vegetables 24/7. So that's the most exciting part of what I do.
Yeah, I love that. And that's actually going to be our number one. So if we move into that space, and for those of you that are watching online, you'll be able to click on and watch Tess's video, and we'll be talking about this guy here. The new blender is one of the enablers of that delicious tasting plant-based options. But I think when we talk, that what you were saying was just such a great lead into having a daily regime. I already mentioned it's titled the Almost Daily Regime. But when you think about the holidays, what are your go-tos during the holidays?
Well, I always start my day with a green juice or a green smoothie. But sometimes in the holidays, when everybody's, in the house together, you've got, 20 of your relatives together and everybody's having bagels and cream cheese, or you know, baked goods or muffins or pancakes or whatever. I really feel like there is a way to exist with moderation during the holidays and still eat, you know, some of the things that everybody else is eating, or perhaps make healthier versions of those comfort foods. So for me, I love chia puddings. And I think that they can be absolutely delicious and they're super easy. So I think that, you know, really creative, like or we always make an oatmeal buffet. So we
Mhm.
make a beautiful oatmeal now, and you can make several versions of oatmeal, right? So you can make oatmeal just with water. You can make oatmeal with coffee, as you suggested, with herbal teas. You can also do it with all different kinds of milk. So I love beautiful, rich, creamy oatmeal. So I feel like full fat coconut milk's not only great for your immunity, but it just brings in that really decadent creaminess. You could also use cashew milk or almond milk or a mixture of milk. So I always start there and make a beautiful creamy oatmeal. And to that, I always stew some kind of fruit. So, you know, during the holidays, there's so much beautiful fruit available, whether it's, you know, apple and rhubarb, whether it's just a simple stewed apple, whether it's, you know, caramelized bananas by, you know, stir frying them with some coconut oil and a tiny bit of maple syrup. You could also put in some, you know, dried fruit, you know, cutting up some dates, doing some goji berries, whatever. Then your nuts and seeds. You know, nuts and seeds are really, and I know, Ashley, you feel exactly the same way about this because sometimes we travel together and we've both got our nuts and seeds in our bags and stuff. But you know, adding that crunchy element. So much of the enjoyment of food is about texture. So I'm always adding something creamy with something crunchy, something raw with something cooked. And so, you know, having a buffet of fresh berries on the table so people can top it with whatever they want, having some maple syrup and some coconut nectar, some dates, some, you know, honey if you eat honey, whatever on the table, having lots of different cut up fruits, having you know, hemp seeds, chia seeds, you know, blanched or raw almonds, some walnuts, you know, any sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, whatever, all of these different nuts and seeds. And then that's how we start our day. And then beyond that, there's always some kind of, you know, some kind of a healthy baked good. So I love making some kind of delicious, you know, pancakes, or, you know, people, you know, my family love to have, you know, healthy buckwheat waffles or something like that. So, I mean, I think that you can mix it up and have a little bit of something and then something that's going to fuel you throughout the day, like oatmeal. Chia puddings also, you can do those with any kind of milk with chia seeds and then have, you know, all those toppings on the table. Another thing that I like to do at the holidays for breakfast is I make edible centerpieces. So it not only makes it festive and beautiful, but it's very, very healthy. So you can do that very, very easily. And I can send you all of these recipes are on my website, but, you know, making, you know, doing like a cup of raspberries in a glass, you know, one of those short, not a highball, but a short glass. Then putting, oh, I'm about to sneeze thinking about it. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, it went away. No, it's there again. No, it's gone. Okay. Doing some nuts and seeds, and then making some kind of an almond cream or a cashew cream or a coconut yogurt or an almond yogurt. You can even, there's so many amazing commercial, you know, very, very low in sugar yogurts that you can pour onto that and then topping it with some berries. That makes an absolutely beautiful, beautiful centerpiece. The other thing you can do is at the holidays, you know, when you're doing, you know, muffins and pastries and croissants and, you know, toast and bagels and all these different things, you know, jam and jellies are so popular during the holidays for breakfast items. You can make your own naturally sweetened raw jams that look and taste exactly like the real thing. And it literally takes less than 5 minutes to make. So I'll send you links to that as well. But it's just a very, very easy raspberry jam. It's a quarter of a cup of water or coconut water with a half a cup of chopped pitted dates, and then you blast that until it becomes like a kind of a date mixture. Then you pop in 1 cup of raspberries, 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, and you pulse that on low. And then you put in your second cup, another cup of raspberries, and you pulse it on low just for a few seconds. And then you get this beautiful, rich red raspberry jam where the chia seeds and the seeds from the raspberries, it just looks like looks like exactly like a conventional jam that you would buy at the grocery store, and nobody knows the difference. I have given it to hundreds of people that literally went, "What brand is that? Where did you get that?" And I said, "Well, I actually made it in the blender about 10 minutes ago. It's completely raw and vegan." So that's a really top one. And you can do that with raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. You can make marmalade with oranges and peaches, all kinds of stuff. So that's a really big one. So when it comes to full meals, like if you're sitting down for Thanksgiving or Christmas lunch or dinner, regardless of whether you eat turkey or ham or any kinds of meats or fishes or whatever, I'm obviously focusing on the vegetable portion of it. So there's so many ways that you can make traditional holiday favorites just a bit healthier, but they taste just as rich and decadent as conventional recipes. So mashed potatoes, no Thanksgiving table for me is complete without mashed potatoes. But they can be full of half and half, full cream, a ton of fat. I mean, it can really, potatoes themselves, whilst they're kind of a nutritionally barren vegetable, they're kind of the poor man at the table, they're not actually all that terrible for your health. It's what we pour onto them that can be so incredibly terrible, right? So there's a very, very simple recipe on my website for creamy mashed potatoes, which is literally, I'm using a mixture of broth and olive oil. So olive oil is obviously a much healthier plant-based fat. And so when you mash your potatoes, you do equal parts of olive oil and vegetable broth. And then you can, then put in your aromatics. You can put in a little bit of fresh garlic or garlic powder or onion powder. You can also caramelize some onions on the stove with a bit of olive oil, grapeseed oil, or coconut oil. And you can then stir through your herbs, chives, green onions, parsley, whatever you want. So I think that that's a really, people, again, freak out at how delicious those are. And I love black truffle salt. So I think that that just brings a really beautiful decadence to potatoes. Truffles and potatoes just go beautifully. So another thing that you can do is make, scalloped potatoes. Oh, that's such a favorite from the 80s, like we just love creamy, creamy potatoes. So I've got another recipe on my website where I just replicate that traditional dish and just make it more forgiving. So I make a creamy sauce, again, out of vegetable broth and cashews. You can also use steamed cauliflower to make this. Cauliflower is one of my go-to things, not only because it's full of all those incredible detox nutrients you were talking about earlier, but it's just full of nutrients, alkaline minerals, utterly loaded with goodness and antioxidants, all kinds of stuff. But it's got a naturally creamy texture when you steam it and puree it. So you can puree it on its own. If you're nut-free, you could do it with some pine nuts, which are not technically nuts, but you could do that. You could do some sunflower seeds or something like that. You can also do it with cashews, which is the go-to because that's like the cow of the vegan world, because it just makes beautiful rich cream by just blending cashews with water. So that's a really top one too. And then again, you would just add your aromatics. So you would do some steamed cauliflower, use some broth and some cashews, make a beautiful, rich, creamy sauce that replicates cream. And then you would pour it over very, very thinly sliced potatoes. And then you could add, rosemary, some thyme, some oregano, whatever aromatics that you want, and then just bake it in the oven for an hour. It's absolutely delicious, and nobody knows the difference. And if you want to make it cheesy, because we all love cheese, there's a few little tricks that you can use that make things taste exactly like it has aged Parmesan or a beautiful Gruyere cheese or something like that. But it doesn't have some of the toxins that we can find in some of that stuff. So, you can do a mixture of nutritional yeast, which is actually not the, Candida albicans kind of yeast that is not a friend to our health. It's a completely separate thing, and it's full of, often it's fortified with B12, and it's got all kinds of other things, but it gives a bit of a cheesy flavor. And then you can use a mixture of that with some lemon juice and miso paste. White miso paste. You can either use soy, or if you're avoiding soy, you can use chickpea. You can use a white paste made out of fermented chickpeas. And those three things together, the lemon juice, the nutritional yeast, and the miso paste, creates this incredible cheesy flavor. So that's another one. Another thing is green beans. So a green bean casserole is such a huge holiday favorite. There are ways that you can, I find though that typically when I sit down to a holiday table, the broccoli, the green beans, they've been overcooked. They're gray.
Hmm.
So you'll be able to, I'm sure you've gone on about this on previous webinars about how broccoli, you were talking about, the glucoraphanin, which turns into the sulforaphane and is one of, pretty much our number one detox ally. But it's not, you don't get very much of it if you cook broccoli more than about 3 to 5 minutes. So cooking your vegetables very, very lightly and keeping them al dente so that they've not only got a beautiful, crunchy, crisp texture, but they've got a beautiful, vibrant green color so they don't look insipid on the table. And then infusing them with more flavor so that people get excited about them. So one of my go-to holiday dishes, I've been making it for 20 years. People always request it. We always have it at the Thanksgiving table and the Christmas table, is I make a garlic green beans dish with sliced almonds and lemon zest and lemon juice. It is absolutely delicious. So I literally blanch the green beans in vegetable broth, which I know seems completely excessive and decadent, but it really infuses them with incredible flavor. That's another top tip for pasta too, is to cook it in vegetable broth, and your grains. Cook your grains in broth. So then I just pull them out. I only blanch them for about 2 minutes so that it just takes the edge off the rawness of them. And then I stir fry them very, very lightly with some garlic and olive oil and lemon juice. And then I stir through the sliced almonds after I've taken it off of the heat and season it with salt and pepper. And that is the most mind-blowingly delicious dish. So for me, it's about using fresh herbs and lemon juice and garlic and onions and all of those beautiful alliums and shallots and all that sort of stuff to really infuse incredible flavor. I'm a big fan of using cayenne pepper and red pepper flakes or chilies. We want that sweet and salty and spicy kind of holy trinity of flavors there. So another thing is sweet potato. Sweet potato is so incredibly delicious on its own. It's got a natural sweetness, and they're obviously incredibly good, for immunity, a ton of antioxidants, all that sort of stuff, but they're just really, really sweet and delicious. So you can either just roast them whole, literally just wash them with the skins on, wrap them in, aluminium foil or aluminum foil, and just prick them and roast them, at 400 degrees for about an hour, and then squeeze the pulp, the flesh, out of the skin, and then just whip them in a stand mixer or a traditional potato masher with a tiny bit of freshly squeezed orange juice and some salt and pepper and a little bit of maple syrup. They are absolutely delicious. So I think making beautiful vegetable purees and stir fries like that are really, really huge. And then I've got, I don't believe for me, I've got another little kind of saying. I shouldn't call it a rule, but the longer the shelf life, the shorter mine. So I'm not huge on buying things out of packets and jars, particularly when making your own is so incredibly easy. So, gravies and sauces, and that's a big tip for me. Is one of the keys to making vegetables really, really super delicious is making incredible sauces and dressings. And so one of my go-to is, I call it thyme for mushroom gravy, because mushrooms and fresh thyme just are meant to go together like chocolates and hazelnut. So you just saute some mushrooms with some onion and throw it in the blender with some vegetable broth, and you've got mind-blowing mushroom gravy and a little bit of tamari, wheat-free tamari. You've got mind-blowing mushroom gravy in literally less than 10 minutes. So that's another one. You can pour that over your mashed potatoes. I've literally served that for so many years, and people just go, what is in that? That is the best gravy I've ever had in my life. So instead of using, traditionally my mother would always use the meat, the fat off the meat, and, all the drippings and all that sort of stuff. That's a really big one. You can get this beautiful, incredible, robust earthiness, this umami, by using, sauteing some shiitake mushrooms or cremini mushrooms, or even regular white mushrooms that you get at the grocery store for not very much money. So that's another one. Making beautiful chimichurri sauces, with fresh herbs and olive oil and garlic and chili, and, all of these recipes are on my website too. All of these recipes I'm talking about. A beautiful cranberry sauce. You can just literally bring some cranberries in a saucepan with some orange juice and maple syrup and not do very much to it, you know, and it's absolutely delicious. So those are some of my go-to things. And for dessert, oh, you've always got to have a beautiful dessert on the table, or several desserts, as my family would say. So we've always got a few options. But I'm not a baker. I don't enjoy it. It's too much chemistry. It requires too much patience. So I always make very, very quick pies or crustless things that I can throw in the blender and then throw in the freezer. So coconut oil is not only fantastic because it's got all those healthy fats and, you know, lauric and caprylic and capric and myristic acids that are lethal to viruses and bacteria. So it's great for your immunity in the colder weather in the holidays. But it's got this magical property where it's solid at colder temperatures and it becomes liquid at warmer temperatures. So that is a brilliant friend to us when we're making cakes and desserts, because when you blend raw cashews with coconut oil and a little bit of almond milk and then add whatever flavorings you want, you have instant cheesecake pretty much. It looks, it tastes, it has the consistency you know, of a traditional cheesecake. So you literally, and then instead of having, you know, a floury, fatty crust, you can make a really, really healthy, delicious crust by just pulsing almonds or pecans or walnuts with some dates. And that's literally all you've got to do. And so it's a cup, it's pretty much a cup to a cup. So it's a cup of nuts to a cup of dates. You pulse it in your food processor till it comes together in a ball, and then you press it into, you know, an 8 or 10-inch spring form tin. And then you make your filling, and then you pour it in, pop it in the freezer for 2 to 4 hours, and leave it in the fridge, and then you slice it, and nobody will ever know the difference. So again, all of these recipes, I've got several. I've got a cranberry cheesecake, a lemon cheesecake, I've got a chocolate espresso torte, I've got a chocolate orange torte. All of those recipes that I'm talking about are on my website, and you can literally make those cakes in, I'm going to say less than 15 minutes is a conservative. I've made them in less than 10. So that's a really great one. So those are just some ideas, but there's a tab on my website and it's got holiday recipes, and they're all, every single recipe I just mentioned is on there. So you can find all of those recipes, you know, quickly and easily.
I so love it. I was like, my go-to during the holidays is to go to Tess's. This will be great.
You're welcome.
That's right. And that brings me to our next point. But, you know, one of the things I want to emphasize so wholeheartedly, because it could sound like, yeah, in a dream world, I could do all of these things. I think some of the go-tos that you were talking about that are, just to highlight them, so important is wherever possible, make it yourself. And also, by the way, you can also share Tess's recipes with people that are coming over and say, hey, I'm putting this together. What about if you made this thing, or I'll make that, you know, that kind of a thing. So I think that that's a great opportunity. And, you know, I think in that go-to sense, one of the things that you're talking about is doing more at home during the holidays. And I want to underscore that because there are so many times where we're going to be out, and it's a transition into the next question about traveling. And some of these following questions are going to be more like rapid fire, just because Tess and I could go through this for like 5 hours, but we're going to try to keep to our hour. But, you know, I think in that way, it is so important to, when you have the ability to do things at home, really emphasize making the better choices. And most often that means making it yourself. So love all of those. Thank you for the multitude of resources. Let's talk about, if you're traveling, give me like 1 or 2 things that are a must for you when you're traveling.
Staying hydrated is a big one, right? Because when we dehydrated, we get tired and we don't have very much fun. So I think that during the holidays, we're typically eating a lot of very dehydrating foods. So cooked foods have ostensibly had the water, or much of the water content, heated out of them. We don't think about that when we're eating cooked food. So staying hydrated is a huge one. I always make sure I have a green smoothie or a green juice when I'm on the road, picking it up from, you know, Whole Foods or a health food store or a regular grocery store, just to get some greens in me. I always travel with hemp seeds, some raw nuts and seeds, sprouted nuts and seeds. I've become a huge fan of sprouted watermelon seeds. They taste like a cross between a sunflower seed and a cashew. They are so delicious, I'm addicted. But I've always got some kind of snack that's going to help me sustain as a good source of energy. So those would be my go-to things when I'm traveling. And then just to just to think ahead, if you're going to be away, like I'm going to be on the road for 2.5 weeks straight, starting to tomorrow. And just thinking ahead of, packing a few things. This is going to sound really hardcore, but I always start my day with 2 glasses of fresh lemon water. So I cut open 1 lemon, I squeeze half the lemon into 1 16-ounce glass of room temperature water, and then I put the other half in another, and I drink those 2 glasses in the first half an hour when I wake up. And so I don't forgo that when I'm traveling. I travel with lemons and I travel with a tiny little travel knife and my metal reusable straw. And I just stick to that because my body's used to it. It just helps flush toxins. It helps prepare the body for digestion, keeps the lymphatic system moving. And I always make sure I go for some kind of a gentle walk. Often when you're traveling, you can't, maintain your regular exercise routine, but I always just go for a gentle walk. And I make it social, take whoever you're staying with or relatives or whoever you're vacationing with, go and, discover a city where you're staying, or go and, our family, we always go for a big walk after Christmas lunch or after Thanksgiving dinner. So we all go for a walk, an hour-long walk, and just debrief and chat and laugh, and, you can make it fun. So those are the things that I tend to stick to.
Love it. And I'm going to skip over this one. I know I was sourcing questions from our audience. They were asking about how to blend a radio. We're going to, rainbow, not a radio. We're going to get to that again, but I think also through the examples that you were giving before, you were so clearly talking about all the different colors. So this question, I got asked 6 different ways. They're like, we really want to know what must be in your kitchen. What are your go-to kitchen tools?
Kitchen tools?
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, my blender. I use my blender 4 times a day. So obviously, I think the new KitchenAid ProLine Series blender is the best blender in the world. I own every blender on the market, which I know is crazy, but I am the blender girl, so I can justify it. So I do want to know what's out there. So I like to recommend different blenders at different price points, depending on what your budget is. So if you have a specific question about that, feel free to reach out to me through the contact form of my website, and I'll answer that. Beyond that, I love my food processor, so to chop up vegetables. Who wants to stand there and chop vegetables? I'm an incredibly impatient person, which is why all my recipes are quick and easy. So chopping of vegetables is key, and making crusts and making sauces, chopping herbs, things like that. So a food processor is huge for me. I'm going to say a mandolin is another big one, because so much of the enjoyment of vegetables is about the way that you chop them. And for really earthy and pungent ingredients like beets, for example, when you cut them very, very finely, very, very super thinly, radishes, things like that, oh, they just taste so much better. So a mandolin, and you can pick one up for $30, $40. Bed Bath & Beyond, any kind, online, whatever. Just a couple of good knives. I don't think you need to spend, $366 on a knife set. I think just an average chef's knife, a big knife, and then a paring knife is all you need. Cutting boards, measuring cups and spoons so you can follow other people's recipes accurately. And then I always use my lemon squeeze as my ginger tool and my zesters. I use them every single day. So I'm talking about the citrus presses where you halve the thing and then you squeeze the juice. Kitchen IQ has some brilliant kitchen tools. They've got a ginger tool. Ginger's a huge one for me because it's anti-inflammatory. It heats the body. It's great for digestion. We can go on and on and on about it. So it adds crazy, amazing flavor to smoothies, to juices, to soups, to salad dressings, to everything. So those are my tools that I use every single day. I do love to juice, so my juice is always on my countertop, but those would be the main ones.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about, so it's party time. So we're putting together that party, and one of the things that I find at parties is that more and more so is that people really have very strong preferences from a taste bud standpoint. So I wrote in here, some people like it hot, some like it sweet, some are just bitter. That was a little bit of a joke, but for across the board, like, how do you, as you're putting a party together, make sure there's something for everyone in that space?
Yeah, I always make sure that there's something fairly general in flavor that's not spicy, not super sweet. I just have a variety of colors and flavors and textures. So I always have some nibblies. So we always have something sweet. So check out the candied maple pecans. You can make them in less than 10 minutes. They are mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
So look for that recipe. So that's always my go-to sweet treat at the holidays. And I also make them as gifts. So you can make, you know, a triple, quadruple batch and put them in beautiful jars with ribbons. And it's a great hostess gift if you're going to somebody else's house, by the way. So that's, you know, a little bit sweet, tiny bit spicy. So I'll always have that. I'll always have, you know, a platter of crudités, chopped up vegetables, and a variety of dips. So there is a ton of dips and spread recipes on my website under dips and spreads. You know, so I'll have, you know, something pretty innocuous that people, I like to have familiar things on the table that people are used to. And then, you know, so guacamole is a go-to because avocados are so incredibly healthy. They're delicious. They're incredibly popular, and everybody loves guacamole for the most part, right? So I'll always have something kind of traditional and something that people are familiar with. And then on the same platter, I'll have some more unusual choices, not to just mix it up with color. So I'll have something pink, I'll have something green, I'll have something white, I'll have something, you know, and then I'll have a variety. I always have a huge platter of a few different kinds of breads and crackers, some sprouted crackers, some regular crackers, some, you know, things like that. So everybody sort of feels like it's not too strange and weird and completely out there. So that's what I do. And then, you know, obviously, I've always got a variety of raw and cooked. So one thing I love about the holidays is that having a buffet of roasted vegetables and steamed artichokes and making some incredible aioli sauce or something that you can do in literally less than 5 minutes in your blender. That recipe's on my website too. Is always popular. I just do an absolutely massive platter of beautiful roasted vegetables. You know, Brussels sprout chips are a huge one because you can put them on top of soups. And then, you know, everybody's sitting around eating family style, eating artichokes. For some reason, it just makes people happy. They're buttery, they're delicious. They're also really great for detox, but they also feel decadent. So it's the best of both worlds. Is always really key for me. And then I've got to have something crunchy. So I've always got some kind of beautiful candied nut, some kind of salty, you know, spicy kind of nut thing that I've done with some herbs. Again, all these ideas are on my website. So it's just about making people feel like there's very familiar things on the table and also opening them up to some things where they're going to go, oh, where did you get that? That's incredible, you know, so that everybody, there's something for everybody at the table.
Totally. So in that space, before or after you're going to a party, and now we're talking a little bit about on your own health, do you have any things that you pre-party with or you after-party with?
Well, again, I'm going to say lemon water. I'm going to say lemon water, lemon water, lemon water. And also, I always travel with liquid chlorophyll. So I drink the natural mint flavored. So it's from World Organics. I tell everybody about this, so it's very, very hard to get because everybody I know buys it by the case. But it tastes like mint tea. So you just put a tablespoon of that in a glass of water, or lemon water, or a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in a glass of water. I feel like that helps to recalibrate the body. I'm also a huge fan of natural calm since Ashley put me onto it. So there are things that you can do to, as I say, temper the acidic orgy, which can be part of a binge. Now, if you're going to drink alcohol, I drink alcohol. I'm not a monk. I love a beautiful glass of champagne. I love a gin and tonic. I love a beautiful glass of eggnog and all kinds of stuff, right? My thing is, if I'm going to drink alcohol, I drink 1 glass of alcohol to 2 glasses of water. So I think it's just a really good way to kind of temper the acidic and kind of compromising effects of alcohol, but still to have fun. You know, you want to have fun. You want to be festive. You want to be at holiday parties. So that tends to be what I do. And then the 80-20 rule is another big one for me, where if I'm going to eat some other things, I make sure that 20% of my plate, or not even being too dogmatic about it, just a large percentage of your plate is non-starchy vegetables, is beautiful vegetables, and then 20% of your plate is, you know, some of the other treats and other kinds of things. And I find that that strikes a good balance for me. You know, I'm going to sit and have my piece of pie and my ice cream just like everybody else and enjoy it and love it. But I've also eaten some other good stuff that day as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Great, better, not perfect ideas. I love that. Okay, so now one of the things I wanted to do quickly to go through what we think are some of the quick fixes. So One of my favorite things about your app is that you can go in and say like how you're feeling, like bloated, sluggish, like I just need some help. So I definitely want to direct people there. But anything that, you have as like a quick pick me up or something that might enable better digestion, or what are you sipping on, slurping on if you're feeling tired? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, again, I'm going to always go to green juice or a green smoothie. So there are hundreds, literally hundreds of recipes on my website. For that, you can also, yes, use the Blender Girl Smoothies app where there's 100 recipes where you can literally put in, I feel, I need, or I crave. And there's all these drop-down boxes. You can literally put in how you're feeling, what you need, and it will spit out 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 smoothies that suit that criteria. So that's a big resource. The other one, again, I'm going to go back to the apple cider vinegar in water, the liquid chlorophyll in water, the magnesium, the natural calm in water, or lemon water. Another thing that is huge, and this is going to sound very, very strange to some people, but it's salt. So I always travel with Celtic sea salt in my purse. And putting a little bit of salt on my tongue or dissolving 1/4 teaspoon of salt in water. And I'm talking about high quality salt, not processed iodized bleach salt that you get at the grocery store for 99 cents or $1.99. This is high mineral rich salt that's produced in a controlled environment or whatever. So I think that is alkalizing. So all our bodily fluids are saline. So we need salt to survive. And salt gives us energy, and it also tempers the acidic effects of sugar and other acids. So too much sugar, too much refined sugar, too much, all that sort of stuff. So another thing is baking soda. So you can just get plain old Arm & Hammer sodium bicarbonate at the grocery store. And putting 1/2 teaspoon of that with 1/4 teaspoon of high quality Celtic sea salt in a 16-ounce glass of water, I cannot tell you what that does for your energy, to recalibrate the body. Those are my go-to. Those 5 or 6 things that I mentioned, those are my absolute go-to. And again, staying hydrated. So it's not only just guzzling copious amounts of water or herbal tea or other kinds of healthy liquids, it's eating high water content foods that are full of minerals. So for example, cucumber is one of my go-tos. So English cucumber or mini cucumbers are huge because I like to eat the skins. And they're it's like 98 or 99% water, but it's mineral rich alkaline forming water. So I think that celery, cucumber, a bit of melon, things like that are some of my go-to foods during the holidays, just to stay hydrated and get those kind of alkaline buffer minerals into my body.
I love that. And, I think
eating greens. I'm sorry, eating greens. So, making a spinach salad with some quinoa and nuts and seeds, making some beautiful festive dish, but making sure you're including your greens.
Yeah. And I think that too, part of what that goes with, when you're eating more plants, you're eating less animal, and I think that that's really a helpful way to also support all the different things that we're talking about here, whether it's your digestion or the hangover, or those pieces. Some additional go-to, I'm a big fan of digestive enzymes. They can work very well in the moment, on that part.
Yeah, huge. They're huge. And probiotics, so obviously I'm always having. This is another big one, actually. I'm really glad that you said digestive enzymes, because another huge one is including something probiotic rich with every meal. So if you're sitting down at the holiday table, I highly recommend going and getting, for those of you in America, going and just getting a simple jar of Bubbies, Bubbies, or boobies, however you want to pronounce it. Plain sauerkraut. So it's just cabbage and water and salt. It has not been fermented with vinegar. There's some other amazing brands that make natural cultured vegetables. So these are living cultured foods. So I have 1/2 cup of cultured vegetables with every meal. So not only are they tangy and delicious, but it helps to replenish your body with beneficial, proactive probiotics. And so that's a really, really big one. So I always drink 1/4 cup of coconut water kefir or water kefir or plain unsweetened milk kefir every morning and every night before I go to bed. So, and then I eat cultured vegetables, a half a cup to a cup with every single meal. That's a huge one. And then if you don't have access to those things, or you don't want to eat them, you don't like them, whatever, doing the digestive enzymes and taking really high quality probiotics with it right before every meal, I'm going to say, is a really, really good one. So thank you for mentioning the digestive enzymes.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think we cleared through just about every aspect of the holiday that I could ever want to discuss. So what I wanted to do now is just to make sure that you have access to all of these resources. You will not have access to one just yet, but it is going to make incredible gifts for the new year, and that is Tess's new book, The Perfect Blend, that comes out. Tess, it's available on pre-order now, and it will be the very end of December, right? It's shipping.
Yeah, so it comes out December 27th, but pre-order it now, because and if you do pre-order it or even buy it in the new year, please keep your purchase receipt online or at a bookstore, because starting in a couple of weeks' time and going all through till the end of January, we are going to be running a promotion where I'm giving away $30,000 of prizes for people who share their perfect blend, and there's going to be some other details. So sign up for my newsletter at theblendergirl.com to learn more about that, because I'll be announcing that through my newsletter or on my Facebook page at The Blender Girl. I'm giving to residents of the USA and Canada, 10 people are going to win. I think it's up to $3,000 a prize. And they get a KitchenAid Pro Line Series blender, and then they get a year's supply of a ton of different foods to make the perfect blender reality in their house. So it's extremely exciting. And then if you live in the UK, I'm going to be giving away a KitchenAid Pro Line Series blender when I come to London. For those of you in Australia, I'm giving away a KitchenAid Pro Line Series blender in Australia. So there's going to be some fun stuff going on. So definitely please connect with me. Tell me that you bought the book. Keep your receipt, and you could be in it to win it. It's exciting.
Fantastic. I love that. 9 people will be winning because I'm signing up to win. No, I'm just kidding. But that's amazing. And you guys, I can't say enough. There are very few apps that I actually enjoy using, and I probably enjoy using your app test as much as I enjoy the outcome from it, because it's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to say how I'm feeling, what I want, et cetera. And so you guys, this is a great one to get, as well as for those of us that do let the holidays happen and feel like you want more of a detox approach. First of all, detox is definitely covered in the new book, but also just a reminder to some of Tess's, her earlier book as well on that part. And all of those amazing recipes are found on her website. And I think with that, Matt, we will open it up. If there are questions, I can't imagine, because Tess literally has answered all of mine. But if there were any questions that came in, I'm happy to answer them in collaboration with her.
Yes, I think we have a few, but I think we'll just do one right now, just because of time crunch. And it's a question I kind of chuckled when I read it. So, what if I just don't want to eat healthy during the holidays? Can I just deal with it in the new year?
Of course you can. That's your choice. Of course.
Totally. And then my whole thing is just own that choice then, right? But one of the things that I think people mess up on is they think that healthy is not tasty, right? And so what I would encourage you to think about is there's a big, deep difference between not eating healthy, and I'm going to be really blunt, and eating crappy. And so one of the things that I don't feel comfortable with is saying hey, it's great to just go dive into any chemistry lab project that exists out there. So, working with my patients, I put boundaries, and they're loose boundaries, which is if you absolutely love going in and getting something that's made with artificial sweeteners or you just colors or any of that stuff, just don't make that what you have daily. Have there be some balance. So you don't have to be in the 80% healthy, but I also don't want you to be in the 80% crappy. And then but come January 2nd, I also don't want you to feel that you are a victim. What you are at that moment is you are somebody who says, I took some time off, and now let me get up and get back to maybe a better balance of better, not perfect choices more often. So And of course, Tess says, of course you can. So I'll leave it with that. That's great.
Oh, well, you know what I mean? This is the great thing about life. You can make your own choices. And here's the thing. You know, besides killing somebody, there's very few messes in life that can't be cleaned up. So if you're just going to go on a binging bender and just have the greatest holiday on the planet, and that's your choice, then go for it, you know. And then but I do think that there's, you know, you can do some of those things we talked about, like just stay hydrated, you know, take some digestive enzymes, take some probiotics. You know, I would hate to think that there's not a vegetable on the table at your holiday table. So, you know, eat some of the vegetables. But, you know, I mean, I think everybody has their choice, and I think that's great.
Totally. Agreed.
Perfect. Well, thank you both. Very insightful, some great tips there. Like I said, this will be up on Ashley's YouTube and Facebook early next week. I'm sure Tess will be sharing it as well. So everyone, happy holidays. Eat healthy, but have as much fun as you want by the sounds of it. And we will speak to you all soon. Thank you.